I'm Bob Marquis. I've been a member of the Cathedral Book Club since it began, and it's been a very enjoyable experience. I am going to present a book. This is the book. It is A Gentleman in Moscow. It's written by a very good author, Amor Towles. What I'm going to do is tell you about the first 6 pages of the book, and I think that will tell you where we're going. The first page is a picture of a map of Central City, Moscow in 1922. After a title page, the next page is a 1-page excerpt of a very long, I think fictional, Russian poem that has tremendous significance for the plot and will recur on a number of occasions during the course of reading this book. The third section is a 4-page transcript of a trial. It's by the Emergency Committee of the People's Commissariat for Internal Affairs. That was an actual tribunal. Its purpose was to ferret out and punish enemies of the state. The person on trial was Count Alexander Rostov. He was in his early 30s. He had been a prominent member of a prominent family in Moscow and on his estates in Novgorod, and someone called Vyshinsky, who was a ruthless prosecutor. Most of these trials were known to be very short. They made an instant decision, and almost always whoever had been on trial was taken out, put against a wall, and shot. Count Rostov, when he was asked who he is, he said, "I am Count Alexander Ilyich Rostov, recipient of the Order of St. Andrew, member of the Jockey Club, master of the hunt." Vyshinsky then says, "I do not think that I have ever seen a jacket festooned with so many ribbons." This man was not hiding who he was. They then said, "Do you know of a particular poem?" And they handed it to him. The author of it was shown to be Count Rostov. It was written in 1913, just before World War I. Shortly thereafter, Count Rostov left Russia. He went to Paris and lived there until after the Communist Revolution. He returned. He took up residence at the Hotel Mariupol. Only the most prominent people could afford to stay there. And he stayed there until he was brought before this tribunal. They said this poem was thought by many to be a call to action, that is, a call to revolution. "Was that your purpose?" And he said, "All poetry is a call to action." Now the prosecutor got to the heart of the case. "You apparently wrote the poem as a call to action for revolution, and you then left Russia, and then you came back. The question is, did you come back to fight for the revolution or against it?" And he said, "My days of taking up arms had by then ceased." "Then why did you come?" "I missed the climate." They then had a 12-minute recess. They came back and they said that it was clear that the clear-eyed person who had written the poem had now succumbed to the problems of his class, and therefore there was no good reason that he should not be taken out immediately, placed against a wall, and shot. However, they went on to say, some of the most important members of the party, the Communist Party, thought that he was a hero of the revolution because of what he had done. Therefore, they sentenced him to live in the Mariupol Hotel, not in the suite of rooms he had been occupying, but in a small room in the attic where guests who had servants would bring their servants to stay while they stayed in one of the suites. He was to stay in the hotel for the rest of his life. I've been asked to tell you what this book meant to me. But instead of telling you what it meant to me, because there were so many themes that were important, I'm going to give you some advice instead. If you take up this book, do not do what I often do with a good work of fiction, or what I think a lot of other people do with a good work of fiction, which is become so engrossed in the characters or the plot that you begin to think, oh gosh, I don't know how this is going to come out. And you go back to the back and you read the last few pages. I knew early on in that book that I would not do that, because I knew this book is so well plotted that it would be a shame to take away your pleasure by reading at the end when you should go through it without doing that. Thank you. I hope you come to book club in September. You will be welcome if you do. You will not be there just to look on. Your questions will be welcome, and if you have comments about the book, we would welcome them.